You're welcome back to the E45 Morning Show, and now it's time for us to get to the front border issue. Now, the idea is that we're actually looking at something quite apt, but we're going to be having talking points around education. It's actually social change and leadership in Nigeria, and of course, we're going to be discussing with someone that bears several titles, haven't actually started out from what you might call the most of humble beginnings. His name is Omoyele. He is someone that plays in the slum of Ajegule. How do I mean? He does a lot around change and transformation for young people. And of course, having been through trainings from United Nations, the likes of Pan-Atlantic University, you can talk about getting an award from Future Awards, and of course, that's actually people that owns the Why Niger initiative, plus a lot that he has done in order to make sure that young people, especially in the troubled part of Ajegule, get a redirection. Plus, I must say this, he recently got an award of one of the 50 most influential people or young person in Ajegule. Now, growing up, when you hear Ajegule, what comes to mind? A very troubled environment where you have social issues around youths, juvenile delinquencies, thuggery, hoodlum, and the rest. But no, I'm actually a product of that same environment. And I figured what happens is your ability to sieve yourself from the chaff. Isaac Success on my far right, and we have a young girl who is actually a benefactor of his initiative with us, Wahab, in the studio. It's a pleasure to have the two of you.
Thank you so much.
How are you doing today?
Fine, thank you.
It's good to have you join us on the program. We're going to be starting off this conversation with Isaac Success, who is going to lay the foundation for what social change is actually all about. Now, when you hear social change and you do a deep dive, probably you use your Google dictionary, some of the meanings that you get, or in terms of the characteristics or the elements of social change, might bring up some key words that Nigerians, Africans, or the Christian circle does not really accept, which has to do with LGBT rights, XYZ. But let's focus on what the gentleman have to say before we touchlight education with the young girl. It's a pleasure once again to have you, Isaac Success.
Thank you so much. It's a delight to be here.
Yeah, we've tried having this conversation severally, and technology tends to be one of the issues limiting what we could achieve. Let's set the tone for enlightenment. What does the word social change mean?
Okay, so for me, it actually means the opportunity to make change, to bring about a change in the social, in your environment, you know, so in the society. So bring about a change that's doing something, you know, that would add value to the society.
Okay, fantastic. Value adding is the key word we're taking from there. Let's touchlight your story, first of all, because when people hear the word volunteer, there's something that comes to mind. They do a search and they figure if you volunteer, you don't often get paid. You could get some other benefits. Most times it could be materials, it could be books that will be given from the conference or whatever you're volunteering for or the project. But let's get to talk about your story a little bit. Growing up, what are the things that really hit you as an individual that ordinarily you would have given up on life as it is?
Okay, so to me, I actually grew up, you know, from a very, very humble background. You know, oftentimes I tell people that, you know, I didn't actually grow up with a silver spoon or any spoon at all. You know, it was quite challenging that I had.
Like our president, I grew up without a shoe.
You know, that when I had the opportunity of going to school, my uniform was torn. You know, I lacked my pen and a notebook. You know, until not even talk about, you know, not being able to pay the, I guess it was a PTA levy then, or maybe not up to 500 naira. So I dropped out of school because of that. So I was only privileged to complete my education because someone gave me the opportunity of going to school. You know, so I can also remember then there was no food to eat. I lacked my daily meal. So all of that affected how I was coping in school. So I was only able to get the opportunity of an education because someone, you know, gave me the opportunity. Now, leading this to social change and why I do what I do, I said to myself, I could also do something to bring about a change.
Okay.
If I didn't experience such, if I dropped out of school severally, if I was going to school without breakfast, if I was going to school on torn uniform because my parents couldn't afford it, I could also help other people. You know, someone gave me an opportunity and I said I was going to pay it forward. Great. You know, so that was where my change story started from.
So at what class did you drop out?
Okay, so while in primary school, I dropped out at primary 3. You know, I was able to complete later on. I was out of school for over 1 year, and later on, you know, my parents were able to just help me out, and I finished my primary school. But secondary school, after my GSS1, it was just all over. So as at that time, it was as though, you know, I didn't have a future. There was no hope. You know, but after 2 years, I was able to return back to school, and someone gave me a full academic scholarship, and that was how I was able to.
Okay, so now when you talk about scholarship, does it have to do with your intelligence quotients in terms of how brilliant you were that you're able to get it, or whether or not you're meeting up with the school, you were just pushed? Okay,
now this is it. I've always had this belief that every child has seeds of greatness. There's no child that is dull. We all learn in different ways. One of the challenges I faced growing up was the fact that I lacked the basic school amenities. You know, going to school without food, hunger was just a major challenge for me. You know, oftentimes I would even drink this local gari in school. That was only when I had food to eat. So it was that bad. So, you know, I was not coping then because, you know, there was no food. And I had this hunger to go to school.
Okay,
so you know, but one of the reasons why I was given that scholarship was the drive. You know, a child that wants more. I had the hunger for more.
Great.
I had the hunger for more.
So somebody that could not actually go to school smoothly, drop out at primary 3, had issues during secondary school, early stages, now have a Pan-Atlantic University degree. What does that mean when you look at leadership? How do you bring it in?
You know, it is the opportunity to, it is that ability to have this insatiable hunger. You know, the hunger for more. You just want to be better. Remember I said, you know, the scholarship I got was because I needed more. So that drive has actually been there from a tender age.
Great.
So it is very important. You know, leadership is all about having that ability to move from a particular level to another. So that was what happened in my own case.
Okay, so we're going to be dwelling a lot more on what initiative you've actually created, initiated in Ajegunle. But let's just do an evaluation of the Ajegunle for you. How do you balance the public perception and the realities there? There is no gainsaying that there are ills in every society you go, but then how do you balance the Lagos, Nigeria, and global perspective about Ajegunle, especially when you engage international donors that support your initiatives?
You know, just like you have rightly said, there is no community that don't have such. You know, but that is why change agents like us, you know, our duty is to change that narrative. It has been there over the years. You know, that Ajegunle is filled with hooligans. Ajegunle, you know, there is nothing good that can actually come out of Ajegunle. You know, oftentimes relating with partners, donors. Oh, I don't come into Ajegunle. Why? Because it is not safe. So it is a mindset thing. So that is why we need more when people just like us to actually come out and change that narrative. So now we are actually rewriting the code, making them people to understand that yes, there are still good things that can come out of Ajegunle, and as a success can come out of Ajegunle. You know, we have, you know, not minding the negative perception about Ajegunle. We have a whole lot happening in Ajegunle, and I think that was also part of what they were trying to achieve with the current top 50 most inspiring youth, because if you meet children, teenagers in Nigeria, their role models are either the bus conductors, the barbers. They have this mundane mindset. You understand? So we are not trying to rewrite it. It is not just something that one or two persons we do. It involves everyone. So we are not trying to rewrite the web code, change them to.
So let's get to leadership one more time now. You belong. You grew up and play in a community which, if you take away Alimosho, Jeremy is said to be one of the local governments that takes a lot of fund and from local government, what is accruable to them, plus the number two of population there is really high. What has been the stakeholders' engagement there? Looking at what local government activities are and what non-governmental organizations such as yours are doing to actually change that narrative and, of course, engage young people.
Okay, so what we actually do is we hold the government accountable. You know, if you see something, say something. Now, the reason why over the years, you know, we don't see the kind of change we want in our community is because we have been quiet. So we are a generation that is no longer quiet. We are no longer afraid. So if we see a particular situation in our community, we actually go to the government. We write to them, we inform them. Before now, we were in a local government whereby we didn't have access to the government. But now anyone can call the local government chairman to order. So as CSOs, as non-government organization, we've actually we are playing a vital role in ensuring that, you know, policies are being kept, in ensuring that the government they are actually playing their role. We are not yet there yet, you know, but definitely we will definitely get there.
Okay, so let's take one step further now to the idea of youth responsiveness. We tried engaging you in this sometime past, but we couldn't get a clarity into it. What has been the current level of taming youth responsiveness? We understand how the fightings, the rivalry between gangs used to be. What has been your experience doing an evaluation of like 3 years? What has changed?
I think there have been more engagement. Anything, when it comes to sport and talent development, there have been more engagement. Currently, they're actually planning, you know, when it comes to sport. Okay, recently I saw that in the community they would be having like a football competition for the what's called transport and what's called workers. So the idea is to get them engaged.
Okay.
Getting them involved in sports to actually bring them together.
Yeah.
That way, you know, a message can be passed to them.
All right. Okay, so we're going to be driving straight to all the things. Now, let's talk to Adijat Wahab. How are you once again?
Hi.
Okay, so Adijat, let's talk about you as an individual. Where did you stay?
I stay at Market Street.
In Ajegule. Were you born in Ajegule too?
Yes.
Okay, so what has been your experience? How many are you in your family?
We are 7 in our family.
And you are number?
3.
You're number 3. Oh, are you the first girl? You have an elder sister. Okay, so that makes a lot of sense. So let's talk about education for you. What has been your education story? When did you start school?
I started school at 11 years old.
When you were 11 years, that was the first time you entered the class?
Yes. And education, how the education did to me is that it teach me how to read and write.
Okay, great.
Before I was not going to school. But when I'm going to school now, I know how to read and write now.
Okay. So is mommy and daddy around? They are around. Okay, so for your school, what's the name of your school?
My Dream Stay School.
My Dream Stay. How did you get into the school?
Before I was with my grandmother.
Okay.
I was hawking for her.
What were you hawking then? Because I hawked a little bit too. I used to sell bananas for my mom when I was young. So what were you hawking for, Grandma?
Yes, I said fruit for my grandma.
Oh, fruits too. So we belong to the same circle of fruit sellers. That's interesting. So how many years were you hawking fruits? Can you remember?
8 years.
Oh, you were hawking until you were 8 years. Okay, that's quite a long time. So how did you start your school? And who took you to school?
It's Mr. Isaac that took me to school.
Mr.
Isaac.
Oh, Mr. Isaac?
Yes.
Oh, great. So where did you meet him?
He meets me at the street when I'm walking on the road.
Oh, you were hawking on the road when he met you?
Yes.
Okay. And you started when you were 11?
Yes, sir.
Can you remember the first class you joined?
Yes, nursery 2.
You started from nursery 2 at age 11?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what are the first things you learned? Tell us a little bit, some of the things you learned. And what's your best subject now?
My best subject is mathematics.
Okay. And what has it been in the classroom? Can you remember how many you are in your class?
Yes, 25.
You were 25 of you, great. And how many were you older than? Were they your mates or you were?
Older than them.
Okay, so what was the experience? You know, when you come to a class, they are younger. What was the feeling like when you were going to school? Do you used to get discouraged? Oh, I'll be meeting these little children again. What was it? Please tell us a little bit.
Because some will be laughing at me that I'm older than them and I'm there. For me, I will not mind because I do not know anything.
And you are ready to learn.
So I will not look at them. I will just leave them. I mean, I will just focus on what I want to come and learn in school.
Fantastic. So in the course of going to school, were you still staying with grandma?
No, I'm staying with my dad.
Oh, okay, you're now staying with your dad. And did your dad ever visit your school?
Yes.
Okay, he has come to your school before. All right, so mathematics for you, why did you suddenly develop interest for mathematics?
Because when I'm working, the first thing I learned that how to calculate money.
Okay, so that inspired you to actually go further in mathematics. All right. And so what has been your experience? You want to tell us what is currently happening? Have you finished your secondary school now?
No, I have not finished my secondary.
Okay, you are in what class?
I'm in primary 6.
Oh, you are still in your primary. I thought you have moved. Okay, you're in primary 6. How old are you now?
This year I'm going to enter 15.
Oh, you're going to be 15 years and you started at 11. Oh, that means that's fantastic. Mathematics used to be a challenge for me too during secondary school days. But like you said, the basics for calculation, 10 plus 15 plus 30, all those ones you can do it. So since you love mathematics, what do you want to do in the future as you grow with your mathematics?
I want to be a lawyer.
You want to be a lawyer? That's quite inspiring, Mr. Isaac. So you're really not seeing somewhere that can stand. So why did you choose law?
I chose lawyer because I want to help people from saving them from danger.
Okay.
People that used to rape, people that they used to...
Okay, people that used to rape, you want to arrest them and send them to jail.
Send them to jail so that they can say to the court.
Okay. That's a very good thought that you want to do law. You know, it's a very hard task, but I know you can do it because you're already setting the tone. Let's just take one more question before we switch to Mr. Isaac. Whenever you go back home, what happens? You are 7. Are you still staying with your brothers and sisters, or you're just staying with daddy alone?
I stay with my brothers and sisters.
Okay, so what are the experience when you go back home? Because how many you're 7, if we take you on one side, it will be remaining 6. The other 6, how many of them are currently in school? How many is not going? How many have graduated from school?
No one has graduated.
No one?
Yes.
Okay, how many of them are in school?
Just 2.
Just 2. Okay, are they the ones that are older than you or they are younger?
They are older than me.
They are older than you. Okay, they are in what class?
The boy one is the JSS 2.
Okay.
The girl one is JS 2.
Okay. Okay, so are they in the same school with you?
No.
Okay. All right. So who is taking care of their school fees?
Mr. Isaac is taking care of my sister's school fees.
Mr. Isaac is taking care of his sister's school fees too. Okay, so I don't want to get emotional with this conversation, but we have to continue the process. We have with us Dijat Wahab, and of course, his beneficiary, who is Isaac Sources, who runs a slum project. And we're engaging further on this, but the idea is that we actually have one more young girl Her name is actually interesting. It echoes with the name of my spouse, Favor. And I'm very interested in getting to hear from her, which we're going to be doing in the course of this conversation. But let's just go back to Isaac. Isaac, so what inspired the Dream from the Slum initiative? Understanding that starting is often the challenging time. And how long? Can you guys give us a historical account, if you can put that together in 120 seconds?
Okay, so we started in 2013, and the inspiration behind it was the fact that I was out of school a certain time. I know how it felt like to be out of school. So, you know, some certain challenges I passed through, I wanted to pay it forward to the children in the same community I grew up from, the likes of Adijat. She saw a whole lot on the street while she was working. You know, so for her, she wants to now become a lawyer because she wants to help other people on the street. So they are more like my inspiration. Okay, what can we do to help? So I understand that I may not be able to do it all alone. You know, this is why I need people. So I said, okay, I was going to do something to pay it for. So Dreams from the Slum, like the name goes, is simply to make the dreams of people living in the slum to become a reality. And we achieve it using education, empowerment, and mentorship. So we don't just help them to go to school, we make them to dream more, to become more. And it is being achieved by individuals and corporate bodies. So Adijat is in school now because someone is actually paying for her to remain in school. So individuals commit to ensure that, yes, they remain in school.
Now, this is a very deep one, understanding what education is. So you're able to set up a structure and, of course, register an education arm of it. So is the school registered as well?
Okay, so currently we don't have up to the 6 classrooms. I think we have 5 now.
Okay, which is the yardstick for you
Exactly.
to get registered.
So our registration is still
In the
ongoing,
process.
but we ensure that, so it is more like a local school that ensures quality education for children in the slum. So by God's grace, you know, by this time next year, we should get our registration set. But we are not compromising standard. We ensure that the children are in school and learning.
So if I have to hit you where it worries me, are you as an individual actually taking some of the subjects, especially from when you started?
Okay, yes, when we actually started, I was a class teacher. Okay. But with time, we had to get more hands because, you know, I do a lot for the organization and for the school, you know, so I wouldn't be so focused in the classroom. So,
okay.
So we have qualified hands, we have capable hands handling this.
Okay, so let's go to thought leadership now before we go for a break and bring up Favor Eleanor. Let's pick the mentorship part, which echoes with what we're looking at today, social change and leadership. What has been the model you use in getting these young people to stay focused on the big picture other than the issues in the society that could inspire an Adijat to want to be a lawyer?
Okay, so we get people, number one, we expose them. You know, we get people, we ensure they have positive role models, people that will inspire them. And then number two, we meet all of their needs. We ensure that they don't lack in any way. You know, when it comes to food, they get it in excess. So in school, Heidi mentioned this, we also give them food, clothes, everything they need. So they don't lack in any way.
So they can stay focused on the main issue.
Yes. So they hear stories of people like them also that was maybe on the street or out of school to inspire them.
There are now icons and leaders to the side.
So aside our team, they also have, we also have people that commit to mentor them. That they always communicate to, they open up to.
Okay, this sounds apt. So, Adijat, what would you say to other young girls that are watching you, that are currently, they're having a tray pan on their head, carrying fruits like you and I did once, and you want to tell them not to give up, not to fail? Do you have anything you want to say to them? I want you to speak out. They want to hear you. See that camera is looking at you. Say it like you mean it.
I want to tell them thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay.
God bless them for doing all this to me.
All right. Okay, so you're saying that to your... Okay. All right. Anyways, I think we get a little bit of what you're trying to say, understanding how you started late in your education, and you can pick up this much. So Super Screen is telling you not to give up, okay? the team here is saying do more and don't let Mr. Isaac's success and your parents down. You can achieve better things. All right, that's Gijas with us in the studio as we actually look at the first part of this conversation here on what social change is. What we're going to be doing is switch. We engage Isaac's success further, and of course, we take up another success story from Favor Elenloa, who is actually with us in the studio to look at what it has been, starting from nothing and aiming for the big one. The U45 Morning Show will return in just a moment. Don't go anywhere.